Do you remember a little movie called Speed 2? Now that is one hell of a 90s action thriller. Just over-the-top shit. The action scenes in the end, they just keep fucking going. Alright? The only person that was really good in it was Willem Dafoe. Sandra Bullock just seemed like she didn't even want to be there. Jason Patrick, I guess, was the main guy. Dude had, like, no character. And he had no charm. Jason Patrick is the new Keanu Reeves of this story, because I guess Keanu read the script and didn't want to come back to that shit. But he is now engaged to Sandra Bullock, and so they decide to go on a fucking cruise, right? And so on the cruise, Willem Dafoe takes a ship over to I guess he wants to steal some diamonds? I don't know, this plot is so fucking confusing. Anyway, back to the Jason Patrick lack of charm. They're sitting there at dinner on the cruise ship, and his attempt to be charming and, like, you know, have some fun with his girlfriend is to turn to her and be like, "Can I have my food a la carte?" And she's like, "Oh my god, well, it is some pretty good food. I can promise you some excellent service." It's just so douchey and painful, and you're like, really? This is the guy we have to look up to? This is our guy we're following? Alright, fuck it. At least Jango Fett's in the movie, right? So anyway, the cruise is interrupted when Willem Dafoe and his fucking leeches... You didn't mishear me, he has leeches. Willem Dafoe is this guy who designed the security system for the cruise ship. Here's the thing, the premise sounds good. Willem Dafoe used to work for the cruise ship company. He designed the security for the cruise ships. And then I dropped my shit. Anyway, he got sick, apparently, and his explanation was since he worked so much with computers, it gave him copper poisoning, and because he got copper poisoning, the company fired him. First of all, that copper poisoning shit from working with computers sounds like utter nonsense, but doesn't he have a pretty good case against the company then? I mean, like, didn't he see Philadelphia? You'd have a pretty good case if a company fired you for being sick for working too much with their shit, right? But I guess for some reason he didn't decide to go the legal route. Instead, he thought the better way to do things was to wait until there was a shipment of diamonds on one of the cruise ships he designed, and then to come on board, hack into the fucking mainframe with his 90s technology and cell phones and his Nintendo Power Glove. He's gonna hack into the system and take over, and he's gonna get all the people off there, crash the cruise ship into a oil tanker, and then fly off into the sunset with his newly acquired diamonds. Did I say the premise was good? So anyway, it's up to this dude, Jason Patrick, not Keanu Reeves, to save the day. And in the process, he makes things so much fucking worse. One scene, I don't fucking understand this. I guess when Willem Dafoe first takes over, right? He's like, okay, I'm gonna stop the boat because for some reason we can't put down lifeboats while the boat is moving, which I don't think is entirely factual, because if there was a boat and it was on fire or something like that, what, you'd just be like, the lifeboats are fucked, we're moving, what are you gonna do? And then everyone dies? I feel like you could still make it happen. So there's one scene where he's supposed to be getting on a lifeboat, and instead he stops to fucking talk to Jango Fett, and while he's fucking waiting there, the guy starts up the boat again, and so now they're like, oh shit, the lifeboat can't go in the water, and then suddenly the lifeboat cables start going out. What? Apparently the lifeboat cables cannot support the weight of a lifeboat, and I couldn't understand what the fuck this movie is trying to say. And so there's this weird scene where it's like, so is it gonna fall in the water and then it's gonna float? What's the big deal? Everyone's wearing life vests. So while he delays the fucking lifeboat, it becomes this whole situation now where the lifeboat's dangling and people are falling off and getting sucked underwater and shit. So because he held up the lifeboat, now people are falling off into the water to their deaths. He could've just let the lifeboat go, but instead he's sitting there talking to Jango Fett like, something seems wrong here. What do you mean him? Who's in control of the ship? And then people die as a result. So after he hears this, he immediately goes up to the fucking, the captain, what is it? Oh god, where do they drive the boat from? It's not a cockpit, whatever the boat equivalent of a cockpit is. Right? The sea cucumber pit. He goes up there where all the controls are, and he's like, alright, well this guy's obviously fucking around. There's no fires, there's no reason to evacuate the boat. Let's start flooding some cabins. And the Scotty of the ship, who's trying to give her all she's got, Captain, he's like, I'm not gonna let you do that. And so he starts flooding the ship anyway, and immediately after he starts flooding it, he sees there's a deaf girl he was flirting in with there. Oh, did I mention the deaf girl? So, during that same lame dinner conversation where he's flirting with Sandra Bullock, he looks over at this other table and there's like a 14-year-old deaf girl, 15 as she soon says she'll be. and he starts like doing this weird kind of like, I don't know what he's doing. He's trying to, the movie's telling us he's trying to be friends, but the way he's going about it is very creepy. And there's even a part later where after he saves her from almost being killed in the water, she's like, I just want to let you know I love you, and I'm going to be 15 soon. Jesus Christ. So we got like underage shit going on there, I don't know why. That was the only point of her being in the movie, that and so he can go into a hallway when it floods. We were actually talking about that, because Speed 2 came out in 1997. At the same year, we also have Titanic coming out. Could you imagine the crew of Speed 2 trying to get all these like boat effects right, and they're like, oh, we have this amazing boat disaster movie, and then they look over in the next theater, and it's the greatest boat disaster movie in history? Yeah, the biggest boat disaster movie coming out at the same time as the worst boat disaster movie. Oh, it's a match made in heaven. So yeah, as I was saying, this guy Jason Patric, he's not really a hero. Every time you see him, he kind of looks like menacing, and like he's plotting, he's like looking around all shifty and shit. Willem Dafoe had more charm with his fucking bug eyes, but Jason Patric is just not the hero. He floods the compartments, and then later on, when the boat is about to hit the oil tanker, he's like, oh, we gotta turn it out of the way, and they're like, well, bud, you already flooded the compartments with the controls. He made it fucking worse. And then when he does steer the boat out of the fucking way, he drives it straight into a goddamn town. Possibly killing dozens of people, I'm not sure, but a couple of buildings were crashed, and based on how stupid the people were, I couldn't believe it. I was yelling at the screen. There is a cruise liner, a massive, unmissable building on the ocean, heading towards their small island, and we keep seeing boat after boat in front of them, not noticing this fucking huge monstrosity until it's maybe 2 inches from their face. So boats are getting hit, some are exploding. I don't know why they're exploding. I mean, it's a 90s action movie, you know? A vehicle gets tapped, it explodes. No one's fucking noticing this shit, so guaranteed he killed at least a few dozen people out there. And then when he goes to stop Willem Dafoe at the end, he takes the plane and he lets it fly straight into the oil tanker and that whole thing explodes. So basically, if Willem Dafoe had just had his plan work out the way he planned it, the cruise ship would have just gone straight into the oil tanker and would have exploded with nobody on board. But now we have deaths on board the ship, and we have a destroyed island. What the fuck? Jason Patric, he made things worse. I was saying he's an anti-hero, and Saul's like, no, this is a movie where it's a villain fighting a villain. Except one villain is awesome. Willem Dafoe is a great villain. Just look at his face. His tombstone teeth, his bug eyes. Oh, he's fantastic. You just gotta see it. It's just like every part of the movie. Oh, that was the part. Okay. So going into this movie, I was trying to remember, like, how did he find out that he was supposed to be looking for Willem Dafoe? You know, because we have to have that moment where he identifies the bad guy. And so earlier on in the movie, when Willem Dafoe first gets on the boat, he's like talking to Sandra Bullock for a few minutes, just when he's posing as a passenger. And he's like, oh yeah, I like golfing. And so she goes and tells Jason Patric that, and Jason Patric's like, oh, that's funny, because he's not watching the golf tournaments going on TV. It's like, alright, whatever. And then later on, when he's calling out the fact there's no real fires on the boat, and that's the reason why they're being evacuated, because they think there's fires, he's like, oh no, it smells like sulfur. So he's probably using, like, stun grenades or something circular. Like, and then he looks down at the fucking table, and I guess the captain, the captain who got thrown off the ship had, like, two little balls right next to his control panel. I don't know what those balls were. I don't know if they were ever introduced, but he just has two little balls, just tiny, smooth balls, just sitting there on the control panel, and this guy picks it up. He's like, the grenades would be like, golf balls. Oh, golf balls. It must be Willem Dafoe. And I was like, what? That's all you need? So the guy likes golf and that makes him a murderer? And then he goes and grabs a shotgun and goes to find him. It's like, dude, that is so loose. That is, how many people like golf? We're on a cruise ship in the Caribbean. Do you know how many rich white folk are on there? Look at the deaf girl's dad. He looked like a prick. I'm sure he's into golf. I get Willem Dafoe looks like the villain, but that's not enough to make him believe that he's the guy who caused all this. He just immediately is like, oh, that must be him. It's fucking crazy. This movie is just so shittily written. Just, you watch Speed. Speed is a fun movie. They're on the bus, they're flying around, and you come to this one, you're just like, what the fuck happened? You know, like Speed even has those moments where it's like the bus flies from one highway to another, and that looks awesome. you know? Even though it doesn't really make much sense, you know it probably never happened. It looks fucking cool. But Speed 2 Cruise Control, oh, get it? Cruise Control, because Willem Dafoe is in control of the cruise ship. We fucking get it. They shouldn't even market it. It should have been its own movie. It should have just been called Cruise Control. Had nothing to do with Speed, because you go in Speed, you're like, oh, I'm gonna see Keanu Reeves do some shit. He's not there. All you have is Sandra Bullock and that black guy whose car he stole in the first movie. I don't even know if he has a character name. I'm just gonna call him the black guy. Sorry, I'm racist. Well, anyway, some people like Speed 2, some people hate Speed 2. You should give it a watch yourself. Let me know what you think in the comments. In the meantime, I'm gonna go cruise a rest area men's room.